Golden rules for successful trading. Adopt a definite trading plan. Because of emotional stress that is inherent in any speculative situation, you must have predetermined method of operations, which includes a set of rules by which you operate and adhere to, thus protecting you from yourself. Very often, your emotion will tell you to do something totally foreign or negative to what your market trading plan should be. It is only by adhering to the preconceived formula that you can resist the emotional temptation and stresses that are constantly present in a speculative situation. If you are not sure, don't trade. If you are in trade and feel unsure of yourself, take your loss or protect your profit with a stop. You should be able to be right 40% and still potentially show profits. In speculating, it would be folly to expect to be right every time. An individual with proper trading techniques should be able to cut his loss short and let his profit runs so that even being right less than half the time could potentially still shows profit. This point is re-emphasized in Rule 4. Cut your loss and let your profit ride. The basic failing of most speculators is that they put a limit on their profit and no limit on their losses. The man hates to admit he is wrong. Therefore, an individual will often let his loss ride, becoming larger and larger in hopes that eventually the market will turn around and prove him correct. Then after a while, he begins hoping for a small loss and gives up hoping for profit. Human nature also dictates that an individual wants to take his profit right away and thus prove himself correct. Taking a small loss does not necessarily means you were wrong in your thinking. It is simply means that your timing was perhaps incorrect and that you should wait for the correct time and situation to allow you to re-enter the market. If you cannot afford to lose, you cannot afford to win. As we have stated in Rule 4, losing is natural part of trading. If you are not in a position to accept losses, either psychologically or financially, you have no business trading. In addition, trading should be done only with the surplus fund that are not vital to daily expenses. Don't trade too many markets. It is difficult to successfully trade and understand a specific market. It is next to impossible for an individual, especially a beginner, to be successful in several markets at the same time. The fundamental, technical, psychological information necessary to trade successfully in more than few markets is more than in the individual has either the time or the ability to accumulate. So don't trade in market that is too thin. A lack of public participation in the market will make it difficult, if not impossible, to liquidate a position at anywhere near the price you want. Beware of the trend. The trend is your friend. It is vitally important that a trader be aware of strong forces in the market, either bullish or bearish. When this forces is at its height, it would be folly to attempt to buck it. However, one must learn to recognize when the trend is about to run its course or near a period of exhaustion. By an ability to recognize the early signs of exhaustion, the trader will protect himself from staying in the market too long and will be able to change direction when the trend changes. Don't attempt to buy the bottom or sell the top. It simply cannot be done unless you have the aid of the crystal ball or some other tools which could be peculiar to the mystics. Be content to wait for the trend to develop and then take advantage of it once it has been established. Never answer a margin call. This rule acts as a stop loss when your position has weakened considerably. By dogmatically or arbitrarily adhering to this rule, you will be forced to get out of the market before disaster sets in. It is often difficult to admit you are wrong and get out of the market, which you probably should have done well before you receive a margin call. However, the presence of the margin call should act as a final warning that you have let your position go as far as you conceive, conceivably can, unless the initial margin is out of the line with the volatility of the contract. You can usually sell the first rally or buy the first break. Generally, the market has just established a trend, either up or down, will have a reaction, and good interim profits can be made by recognizing these reactions and taking advantage of it. For example, in a bull market, the first reaction will generally be met by investors waiting to buy the break. This support generally causes the market a rally. The reverse is true of a bear market. Never straddle a loss. A loss by itself is difficult enough to accept. However, to lock in this loss, thus making it necessary for you to be right twice rather than once, which you previously found impossible, is sheer absurdity. Now, these golden rules are general observations, which will aid as speculators in formulating on understanding of the market. You must retain control of the situation and yourself. Do not allow your position to control you. It is a mistake to find yourself in a position larger than you can reasonably handle. When this occurs, you will find that the sheer size of the position rather than the fact of the situation itself affect your judgment. The commodity does not know that you own it. You must remain impersonal in your trading. When you take a position and you are wrong, remember it is better to get out immediately. The market will not feel bad about it. The market always look its worst at its bottom and best at the top. It is important to remember that before the market turns around, it is at its very worst. Therefore, be prepared to treat each day objectively by not allowing the emotional fever to carry over and cloud your judgment.